What on earth are tardigrades? Maybe you've heard them called water bears or even moss piglets. But behind these cute nicknames lies one of the most astonishing animals on the planet, an organism so tough, so utterly bizarre, that it might as well be nature's version of a science fiction hero. So let's get down to basics. Tardigrades are microscopic animals, usually about half a millimeter long, smaller than the dot at the end of this sentence. Even though you'd need a microscope to spot one, they are unmistakably animals, with little legs, a mouth, even tiny claws at the end of each stumpy limb. They belong to their own phylum Tardigrada, a group that's at least 500 million years old. That's older than trees, older than dinosaurs, older than flowers. Tardigrades have been around so long you could almost call them living fossils. So where do you find them? The answer is just about everywhere. They're in the moss on your front steps, the lichen clinging to a tree trunk, the soil beneath your feet, the bottom of lakes, the sands of deserts, and the icy crust of glaciers. Tardigrades are astonishingly adaptable, but they really love wet spots, hence the nickname water bear. Now up close, most tardigrades look like something trotting around in a Dr. Seuss book. Picture a tiny, chubby, eight-legged creature lumbering through a world of moss cells, wiggling its little tubes to find food and avoid danger. They eat by using a kind of piercing mouth part to poke into plant cells, algae, or even other microbes. And then they suck out the tasty juices. But the real reason tardigrades are so celebrated, why they pop up in science news, on t-shirts, and occasionally even in conspiracy theories, is their incredible resilience. You see, tardigrades are extremophiles. That means they don't just survive in the toughest conditions on Earth. They've practically made it into a hobby. Scientists routinely put tardigrades through the biological equivalent of the Olympic Games. Freeze them in liquid nitrogen, no problem. Boil them. Bathe them in radiation. Expose them to crushing pressures at the bottom of the ocean. Or throw them into the vacuum of outer space. Tardigrades walk it off. In 2007, some tardigrades even hitched a ride on a European Space Agency satellite. Chilling in space for days, exposed to cosmic rays and total dehydration. When the capsule returned to Earth, scientists soaked the tardigrades in water, and not only did they revive, but some even laid eggs. Life goes on. How do they do all this? Here's where it gets clever. Tardigrades have a trick called cryptobiosis. When their environment goes bad, maybe their puddle dries up or the temperature drops into lethal territory, they curl up, dry out, and effectively shut down almost all metabolism. In this state, called a ton, they're basically a tiny biological time capsule. Like a seed waiting for rain, a tardigrade can sit there for years, maybe even decades. When moisture returns, they rehydrate, switch their systems back on, and lumber away as though nothing happened. Inside their cells, tardigrades make special proteins and sugars that protect their DNA and keep their structures from falling apart. Some of these molecules, such as trehalose and a group of proteins called intrinsically disordered proteins, act like shields, wrapping up sensitive cell parts and making them rock solid until conditions improve. So, are tardigrades truly indestructible? Well, not quite. There are limits. If you burn one to a crisp or keep it dry for too many years, eventually even the mighty water bear meets its end. And like most organisms, they're vulnerable while eating, reproducing, or just being active in the right conditions. But what does all this mean for us? For scientists, tardigrades are like a cosmic hold-my-drink challenge. Their genes and molecules might help us invent better ways to preserve vaccines, protect crops from drought, or even shield astronauts from space radiation. Researchers are still puzzling out all the secrets hidden in their tiny genomes. In the end, tardigrades are a reminder, tucked away, almost invisible, in the cracks of a sidewalk or a splash of pond water, of how strange and resilient life can be. They're not just water bears or moss piglets. They're survivors, explorers, and the universe's own proof that sometimes the smallest life forms are the toughest of all.